Here are some unusual moments that will remain unforgettable in the history of women's soccer. Tobin Heath, an American soccer player, was playing a match against the England team. At one point, she was trying to keep the ball out of the net and save her team from a certain goal when, all of a sudden, she felt like she was being pulled by the hair. The player, who then found herself on the ground, naturally protested the move, although her opponent, Georgia Stanway, came back to her to help her up, but it wasn't enough to calm Tobin Heath down. Luckily for her, the referee intervened in time, but this only frustrated the American player even more, as it seems that the master of the match didn't really listen to her grievances and simply issued a small verbal warning to the offender, putting a quick end to the incident. Tobin Heath went on with the game and even forgot about the hair issue after his team scored a goal, except that this video showing his reaction made the buzz on the internet. Tobin Heath's hair will be remembered for a long time. In February 2022, the Ukrainian Natalya Penilea was playing with her team in the playoff match to qualify for the Euro 2022. She and her teammates naturally wanted to win this decisive match against Northern Ireland. But there was a problem. The opposing team was leading the game, and in the 87th minute of the match, Ukraine was already disqualified. But Natalya Penilea was determined to try everything to save her team. That's when she made a surprising move. Watch. Penilea simply cut off the run of a Northern Irish player who was heading towards the net of the Ukrainian team without any explanation. If this allowed her to save her team's net from a possible goal, she got a red card on the spot. That's right. The referee of the match immediately expelled her from the game, and this, of course, led to the disqualification of the Ukrainian team. But what was the idea of this player to make this gesture? She could have moved the ball away without having to hit her opponent. Well, she may have taken comfort in the fact that she prevented the Northern Irish team from scoring a second goal. But because of this incomprehensible and unacceptable gesture, Natalya Penilea may never be forgotten. Her red card will be remembered as one of the stupidest in the history of women's soccer. Shirley Cycado is a player of Club Deportivo Leones del Norte, an Ecuadorian soccer team that was playing a match in the Superliga Femenina. But just as she was hoping to win the game, the referee blew the final whistle, signaling the defeat of Shirley and her teammates. Was the referee at fault? Had he done something during the game that prevented Shirley's team from getting the win they had hoped for? Maybe so. Judging by the player's anger, she was furious and threw a ball at the referee, who then issued a red card. But Shirley did it again, this time by kicking the ball towards, well, we'll let you watch. In this way, the player was able to take revenge on this referee, and this allowed her to appease her anger a little. Yes, but we can imagine the consequences of her act. Shirley Cycado was certainly suspended for a few games, but we're pretty sure she didn't regret what she did to the ref. On the other hand, her video quickly went viral on the web, so much so that her gesture will be talked about for a long time. A few years ago, Rachel Daly, an English player of the Houston Dash team, was on the pitch trying hard to win the game with her team. But the heat was so strong that day. However, despite the 33 Celsius thermometer, Rachel Daly continued the game and was able to play overtime with her team, even attempting a nice shot towards the opposing team's goal. Unfortunately, all this effort took its toll on Rachel, who had spent over 90 minutes playing in the sun and ended up passing out and collapsing on the field with heat stroke. Unable to do anything, Rachel lay there surrounded by her teammates and players from the opposing team, as well as the medical staff from both teams. Fortunately, the young woman was transported in time to the hospital and treated for her discomfort. This is an experience that this soccer player will not forget. But above all, she will never forget the human and supportive gesture shown by her opponents that day. Yes, soccer is not only a competitive sport. During a game between two American university teams in North Carolina, Cassie Sturtz was guarding her team's net. While she wanted to prevent the opposing team from scoring a goal, the young goalkeeper was caught by a je ne sais quoi when she saw on one of her opponents heading for the net. Do you know what she did then? Watch. Cassie Sturtz threw herself at her opponent in a beautiful steer. What the hell was wrong with you, miss? She managed to stop the attacker, but in return she was suspended for 2 games. And how? Cassie Sturtz could still consider herself lucky because she could have been suspended. Fortunately for her, she wasn't. But ever since that day, this goalkeeper has been admired by wrestling fans for her spectacular tackle. Now let's go to Jordan, where a female soccer player was fully concentrated in her game. As you can see, this soccer player was wearing a veil that she did not want to lose during the game. However, the opposite happened. The veil of this player slipped off during the game, revealing part of her hair. Faced with this embarrassing situation, the young woman then started to rearrange her veil as best she could and as quickly as possible. But look what happened next. Her teammates and a few players from the opposing team ran over and surrounded her to hide her, much to her relief. She was able to put her veil back on without anyone seeing her hair. And that was it. The time it took her to do this, of course, cost her a few precious minutes of the meeting, but at least she was able to get back into the game, perfectly at ease. What happened to her, however, let her know that she can always count on the other soccer players in case of problems, whether they are teammates or opponents. That's right, another unforgettable scene of solidarity in women's soccer. Michaela Moore is an international footballer of New Zealand origin who plays for Liverpool. It goes without saying that one of their wishes of this young defender is to have a brilliant career in soccer and to win as many victories as possible in international women's soccer competitions. But it seems that this dream is still a bit far to reach for Michaela. Well, not too long ago, in a match between her team and another team in the United States, Michaela Moore broke the record for goals scored against her own team. 3 goals scored in her own team's net in only 30 minutes is unheard of. We don't know what happened to her that day, but Michaela Moore tried to continue the game as normal afterwards. But if she was able to control herself from scoring a 4th own goal, she certainly had to work hard to focus, and especially to resist the temptation to throw the ball back into her teammate's net. Michaela, you've probably forgotten about this one long ago. After all, anyone can make a mistake, but your name and your beautiful goals will remain in our memory forever. In December 2021, Sam Kerr, the Chelsea striker, was playing a game she hoped to win with her teammates. But while she was concentrating on her game, she was unpleasantly surprised to see a man appear on the field in the middle of the game. Seeing that the other players were trying unsuccessfully to chase away this unwelcome invader by summoning him to leave the field, Sam Kerr then intervened by shoving him to the point of making him fall. Watch this unusual scene. The player managed to neutralize the intruder, but in return, she received a yellow card for hitting the man. Fortunately, she was able to count on the support of her fans who denounced the invasions of fans on the field in the middle of the game. Despite her warning, Sam Kerr received a huge round of applause, and she will forever be appreciated for her action. Carson Pickett, an American player from the North Carolina Courage team, was playing in a game when she took advantage of a great opportunity to throw the ball towards the goal. But to her surprise, the referee called a foul. He thought the defender had touched the ball with her hand. Of course, Carson defended herself, even showing the referee that she didn't have an arm. Indeed, it should be remembered that Carson Pickett does not have a left forearm. Of course, the referee canceled the foul after having himself notice that Carson Pickett could in no way have touched the ball with her hand. Wow! Poor Carson had to pay the price because the referee seemed to be angry at her for not being able to hold the foul. But the young woman didn't care about all this story, and anyway, she must be enjoying a new step in her soccer career, because Miss Pickett has become a member of the U.S. national team. She is the very first player to play in this team, and this despite a difference of member. We wish you good luck for the future, Carson. As for your reaction with this referee, it will remain unforgettable. Becca Moros is a former soccer player for the Utah Royals. During a game in the National Women's Soccer League in the United States, the player tried to get the ball off the sideline and throw it to one of her teammates. But her move was interrupted by a whistle signaling a foul she had committed by knocking down one of her opponents, international soccer player Megan Rapinoe. The whistle finally made her angry and she fell on the pitch, just like her opponent. But if she wanted to mock the latter in her own way by imitating her, she received a nice yellow card because of her mimicry. Well, it was only a yellow card, and Becca Moros continued her game without any problem. We can say, however, that the video of her gesture, which became viral on the internet, made her very popular. And finally, here is Alicia Lehman. If you don't know her, this 23-year-old Swiss player plays for Aston Villa. During a match between her team and another Italian team in November 2021, the young midfielder wanted to give her best. Of course. But Alicia found herself in the spotlight for a completely different reason. Well, needless to say, this player stood out from the rest thanks to her good looks, but that didn't stop her from playing as she should. Indeed, during this match, Alicia managed to show her performance on the pitch and even won with her team by 2-1 against the Italian team. However, because of her exceptional presence, Alicia may no longer be seen as a talented soccer player, but rather as an amateur model who enjoys passing the ball around. Alicia, who must surely be aware of all this, may have already found a way to assert herself as a footballer and nothing else. Her match against the Italian team has already made her a star of the pitch and one of the most charming and remarkable players in the history of women's soccer. Now, tell us in the comments which of these unforgettable moments in women's soccer amused, impressed, or shocked you the most. Don't forget to subscribe and click here to watch another of our videos.